when I was a fledgling guitar player, one of my heroes was a guy called Richie Blackmore. And I read an interview that really changed my life. He said, if you like what I do, don't just copy my riffs and my licks. Find out who I listened to and who I copied, and go back and copy them so you'll be close to the source. So I'm going to ask this man here, what players influenced you to pick the way you pick?
Well, I think, I mean, that really is the truth. I mean, I always, you know, whenever, even with down to Jimmy Page, when he would always say, like, with the Pontiff, when he would say, I got it from Muddy Waters, or I got it from Howling Wolf, you know, like this lick or that lick,
right.
or Dwayne Eddy, I got it from, or this. Even when I was like 16 years old, I mean, I went back and listened to it, you know, to see who they were talking about. Otherwise, I would have never found out about any of these artists, you know what I mean? Or who Eric Clapton said he really liked, or Jeff Beck, or Jimi Hendrix. I mean, with him talking about, you know, obviously he didn't wake up, he didn't invent playing with his teeth and behind his back and over his head and everything. No, he got it from the guys that came before him, whether it was Buddy Guy and everything like that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, from all the guys that come before you, you know what I mean? So it's just, even with Randy Rhoads, with St. Rhodes, when I'd read I remember in the guitar magazines with him talking about all the guys that he dug, you know what I mean? That whether he was like, because he said he was such a Leslie West fan,
right,
and everything like that, you know what I mean? And then, you know, so, and then you go, you know, you check out who their influences are, you know what I mean? So,
gotcha.
and you know, and I mean, obviously, then you could kind of put two and two together and go, oh, I see where he got those licks from, and obviously put his stamp on them, or he tweaked them, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing about it. So
I'm going to mention some specifics, some that will be of no surprise whatsoever, some maybe. Dave DiPietro from TT Quick.
Yeah, without a doubt. Dave was huge on me, because I mean, I would see Dave playing every night. So, you know, in my development, you know, when I first, now that I'm playing clubs and I'm 17 years old and stuff like that, yeah, seeing Dave every night was like a guitar lesson, hands down.
And I remember you said when we did the boot camp years ago, in this fine issue of Guitar World, you said that he was the guy that made you slow down. He said, Zakk, slow down and let the notes breathe.
Oh, I mean, not so much, I mean, you know, I mean, because Dave still plays fast too. But
Yeah, he does.
But the whole thing, you know, listening to him play, I mean, because at that time I was doing, you know, a lot of, I mean, Al Di Meola is a huge influence on me too. So, I mean, everything was more diatonic.
Right.
You know, and whereas Dave was playing bluesy and playing, you know, a lot of pentatonics and stuff. And Dave also plays diatonic as well. He does 3-note strings. So, but just seeing him play, I mean, like I could play fast and everything like that, but I was just watching going, but I can't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
What he was doing. I was just like, and plus just, I wasn't hearing Dave, I was feeling him. And that was a huge thing to me too. You know what I mean? So it was just like opened my eyes up to a whole nother world that I didn't know. Because I mean, at that point, it was all about scales and learning technique and everything like that.
Right.
So when you see somebody live doing it, it's a whole nother thing. You know, I mean, and at that volume as well.
Right, right. So that was part of the feelings.
Yeah, and I remember Dave showing me just like a blues lick, you know, just a simple like Alvin Lee type lick. You know, just something. It was like, because now it sounds like music to me, I mean, as opposed to me just running scales.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, that was huge too. So you just see a whole bunch of different colors. You know, I mean, because obviously you wouldn't end on a, you know, like, I mean, this note in A, you know, I mean, obviously it's A sharp, so you would never, you know, yeah, I mean, you would never play A sharp, you know what I mean, but passing tones, I was just like, all that stuff, I was just like, wow, because I didn't know how to apply any of that stuff.
And another guy on passing tones, I believe, was, and I heard a bit of it there, Frank Marino, the great Frank Marino.
Yeah, Frank Marino, yeah, still huge. I mean, I listen, whenever I listen to his playing, I still get inspired. I mean, it's just, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it's just one of the best guitar players ever. Because if you listen to his technique, his feel, it just, I mean, it's all there.
His tone in '79 was ridiculous, actually.
Oh, totally. I mean, people back then were just like, wow. I mean, you know, I mean, just you know, and his improvisational skills, you know what I mean? Because it's all, I mean, he's based on improv, you know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right.
you know, just give him a 12 bar or any chord progression, he'll just like destroy it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think, without a doubt, I have to say he's probably like one of my top three, you know, him, John McLaughlin. I mean, obviously St. Rhodes. I mean, as far as constructing solos, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because, I mean, that's what, you know, it's what he wrote. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, aside of the performances and everything like that, I mean, that goes along with it. But, you know, it's just like with Jimmy Page. It's what he wrote. You know what I mean? The soul, you know, Stairway to Heaven and everything like that. The solo in that song, you know, the way
It's
it's
a song within a song,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
Totally. And I mean, that was St. Rhodes. That was his trademark. You know, so, yeah, but you know, Jimmy Page, Tony Iommi.
What do you get from Tony? I mean, Zakk.
I mean, his songwriting and,
Right.
you know, yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, it's just, I mean, with Sabbath, as far as doing the riffs and then tempo changes within the songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
sometimes several tempo changes within the song, like 3 tempo changes, and then back to the main riff or something, you know, so, yeah. And you know, it's so funny, I mean, like you listen to, you know, I mean, as far as the riff lords, you know, Mount Riffmore would obviously be, you know, Lord Iommi, Pope Page, and then, you know, the Sorcerer Blackmore over there. I mean, as far as like, you know, Iron Man, Smoke on the Water, and Whole Lotta Love, I think pretty much everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, those,
That's the Holy Trinity.
yeah,
right there,
I'm
isn't
just
it?
saying, like, if you want to know how to build a car, you know, that's how it's constructed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can tweak it and everything like that, but I mean, the basic construction on a Model T Ford up to a Formula One race car, it's still, you have the basics of how to construct a car, you know what I mean? Obviously,
Right.
you tweak it and make it improvements on what was originally constructed, but yeah, I mean, and then, but you look at where they got, like I said, where you look at, you know, Tony and Jimmy and Richie Blackmore, who their inspirations were, and it was, you know, I mean, they loved the blues, and
Right.
and that's all based on riffs.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Whether it's, you know, Cream was the first heavy metal band, you know what I mean, as far as with Sunshine of Your Love and everything like that. I mean, everything's based on riffs, you know what I mean, as
Gotcha.
opposed to like chord songs, you know, where the Beatles, like, you know, She Loves You, yeah, yeah. I mean, you could probably play the chords to that song and you wouldn't know what song it is.
Right.
Unless you had the melody on top of it. Whereas with riffs, you just start playing the riff, you automatically know what song it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, it's like a trademark. A
yeah,
stamp.
without a melody on it, you would already know what song it is. Whether you play Iron Man or Smoke on the Water,
Right.
or a Whole Lotta Love, you play that riff and it's just like, without a vocal line, you know what it is. You know what I mean? Whereas probably I Want to Hold Your Hand, you play the chords and you're like, I'm not sure what song that is.
Gotcha.
You know, because it's this amazing melody that's over it, but
Right,
you gotta
right.
wait for the melody.
Yeah, so the guitar's
Yeah,
the
so the
melody
chords are
almost.
just facilitating the melody. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right,
it's just
right.
just different ways of writing songs. But I mean, you know, as far as what I gravitate towards is riffs. You know
Right.
what I mean? So whether for songs, you know what I mean? But yeah.
And another influence, your chicken picking is quite remarkable. That was Albert Lee, I believe?
Yeah, I saw Albert Lee at Garden State Music in Jersey when I came back, and it was just like, but it's also the sound, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I just love the sound of country guitar players, you know what I mean? So, and the Helicasters are amazing, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like, yeah,
unbelievable.
just all 3 of them. I mean, but I mean, it just, and you know, aside of like, you know, flat pickers and like bluegrass pickers, I mean, it's just like their technique is just like beyond ridiculous, you know what I mean? And the timing and the whole 9 yards, you know what I
Right,
mean? But
right.
and it's just it has its own sound, you know what I mean? Or whether you're listening to jazz guitar players and stuff like that, Joe Pass or anybody like that, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, because you can always learn something new all the time.